Fractions, Part 3. In today's lesson, students will learn how to add fractions with unlike denominators. Fractions with what? Very good. So now that you know how to add and subtract fractions with common denominators, we're going to be working with fractions with unlike denominators. Fractions with what? And what do you think unlike means? What do you think it means? It means not the same. It means what? Not the same. So let's take a look at these fractions right here. What would happen if you try and add 1/2 or 1/2 to 1/4? Could you do that? Could you? Are the denominators common, or are they the same, or are they different? They're different, right? Well, in order to add fractions, they actually have to have the same denominator. And remember, the denominator's on the bottom. Where is it? It's on the bottom. So these numbers always have to be the same. And there's a way to make them the same, okay? So let's go ahead and read the steps and write them down. So it says in the blank, you're going to write add fractions with unlike, which means they're not the same, denominators. Okay? So the numbers at the bottom are going to be different. You have to make them the same. So there's a fun way to do this that you are familiar with, and it involves doing this. What is this? Cross multiply, all right? So the first thing you do is you take a look at the bottom numbers, and you're actually going to multiply the bottom numbers, okay? So the first thing is to multiply and what do you call the bottom of a fraction? Remember, say, do it with me now. Say fraction. Numerator top, denominator bottom. Okay? Say it with me one more time. Say fraction. Numerator top, denominator bottom. So if I tell you to multiply the bottom numbers, what do you call those numbers in a fraction? The what? What are they called? The numerator or the denominator? The denominator bottom. So multiply the denominator, the denominators, okay? All right. So then the second thing you're going to do is rewrite the fractions with the same denominator. Okay? So if I say rewrite, you're actually only writing the bottom. So let me show you how this works. The denominators are 2 and 4, right? They are different. In order to make them the same, what could I do? I could multiply them, right? So what is 2 times 4 then? Rewrite the fractions. You could do 2 times 4 is what? It's 8, right? So 2 times 4 is 8. So I'll rewrite this fraction with an 8, and I'm going to rewrite this fraction with an 8. So now we're working in eighths. Remember, we are adding these fractions, okay? We are adding these fractions. So put an addition sign just so you remember. All right. Okay, my friends. So now the next step, step 3, is actually to cross multiply. All right? So you're going to cross multiply. So you're going to cross multiply the fractions like this. Okay? First, you're going to go ahead, I'm going to make an arrow so you can see. And I'm going to make a little multiplication sign. All right? First, you're going to do 1 times 4. Okay? 4 times 1 or 1 times 4. What's 4 times 1? 4 times 1 is what? 4 times 1 is 4, right? Okay. So you can make a wing of a butterfly if you want, but I'm just going to do arrows so you know which direction to go first. Okay? Then you're going to multiply 2 times 1. What is 2 times 1? 2 times 1 is what? It is 2, right? Cool. All right. So we cross multiply. First we did 4 times 1, then we did 2 times 1. And now our new fractions that we've rewritten are 4/8 plus 2/8. Okay. So now, do you have fractions with a common denominator? Do they have the same denominator? Yes. Very good. All right. So, now what you can do is, if the denominators are the same, you can go ahead and add the numerators, which are the numbers on the top. So you can add the numerators. So if you add the numerators, remember, okay, you're going to get the same denominator. So you say same, same, same. And the numerators are 4 and 2. So what is 4 plus 2, my friends? 4 plus 2 is, what is it? It is 6. Very good. It is 6. So your new fraction is 6/8. But now I have a question. Can you simplify this fraction? Can you simplify it to make it smaller? Can you simplify it? Because that is the last step. Step number 5 is to simplify. So remember, they're both even numbers, right? 6 is an even number and 8 is an even number. So what could I divide both the numerator and the denominator by? I could divide by 2. Could divide by what? 2. So if I divide by 2 over 2, my new fraction is 6 divided by 2 on the top, which is 3. And 8 divided by 2 on the bottom, which is 4. So simplified, my fraction is 3/4. Go ahead and get that down. Okay, read number 1 with me. It says 1/6 plus 3/5. Okay, so do these fractions have common denominators? Are the bottoms the same? No. So you can't add them unless you make the bottoms the same. So how do you do that? Well, you're just going to use multiplication. The first thing you're going to do is multiply the denominators, which are 6 times 5. And what is 6 times 5? 6 times 5 is 30, right? So you could rewrite these fractions. Remember, you're adding them, so we're going to put an addition sign. Rewrite these fractions with a denominator of 30. Are you with me? All right. Now that the denominators are the same, you can cross multiply. You can do what? Cross multiply. Very nice. So always start with the fraction on the right. The fraction where? On the right. And that's 3/5. So you're going to look at the bottom number, which is 5. And you're going to do, what is 5 times 1? 5 times 1 is 5, right? That's good. And then you're going to do 6 times 3. What's 6 times 3? 6 times 3 is 18. Very nice. Okay, so 1/6 is rewritten as 5/30 and 3/5 is rewritten as 18/30. Are the bottoms the same? You have common denominator, right? So if the bottoms are the same, you can say same, same, same. So the answer is going to be in 30ths. And add the numerators. Add the what? Add the numerators. 18 plus 5, okay? So if the denominators are the same, you can add the numerators. So you're going to add 18, use touch math, say 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So the numerator is going to be 23. So I'm going to write this fraction again, 23 30ths. And I'm going to ask you, can you simplify this fraction? Can you simplify the fraction? Yes or no? Okay, is there a number that you could divide both 23 and 30 by? No, right? Because 23 is odd. And it's also prime. A prime number, you cannot divide any number by it. You can't divide it by 2, you can't divide it by 3. The only thing you can divide by is 1, right? Or itself. So because of the fact you have an odd number at the top that is also prime, and then you have an even number at the bottom, it is already in simplest form. All right? Go ahead and get that down. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the last example, example 2. Read it with me. It says 1/4 plus 5/8. Okay. So, do they have a common denominator or are they unlike? They are unlike, right? In order to add fractions, they have to have a common denominator. How do you do that? Well, you multiply the denominators. All right? So what is 4 times 8? 4 times 8? 4 times 8 is 32. Okay, so you can rewrite them as denominators with 32. Remember, you're adding these fractions. Well, now you need the numerators. You can do that by doing what? Say cross multiply. Say it, cross multiply. So now you're going to get 8 times 1. Remember, start with the fraction on the right. 8 times 1 is 8. What about 4 times 5? 4 times 5. Well, 4 times 5 is 20. Very good. Okay, if they have denominators that are the same, now you can add these fractions. Say, same, same, same. And let's add the numerators now, right? Now you can add the numerators. 20 plus 8. Just go ahead and put an 8 in the ones place, and that makes 28. I want to rewrite this fraction 28 30ths. 28 32nds. And I want to ask you, could you simplify this 28 over 32? Could you simplify it? Now, instead of thinking of a number that you could divide the numerator and the denominator by, let's use the multiplication chart. Okay, so the fraction is 28 over 32. Okay, so on the multiplication chart, is there a column where 28 and 32 are underneath each other, right? Where 28's on top and 32 is at the bottom. Can you find it, anybody? 28 and 32? Is it in column 4? Look, you have 28 and 32, right? 28 and 32. They're on top of each other. Is it anywhere else on this chart? Well, 28's here, but 32 is not in the 7's column. Okay, so really, the factor is 4, which means you could divide by 4. If you divide by 4, okay, then you can move all the way over to the left, and your fraction is actually going to be 7/8. So let me show you what that looks like, okay? 28 over 32. Well, if I divide both the numerator and the denominator by 4, 28 divided by 4 is 7, and 32 divided by 4 is 8, okay? So simplified, our fraction is 7/8 because 28 over 32, if you move it all the way over, is 7/8, and the greatest common factor is 4.